This program was first broadcast on Canterbury's access media station, Plains FM, and was made with the assistance of New Zealand On Air.
It's time for Emergence News on Plains FM 96.9, citizen-made radio.
Tēnā koutou, greetings and welcome as we broadcast Emergence News from the land of the long white cloud, Aotearoa, New Zealand. We have 3 community access radio stations in New Zealand who host volunteers sharing the good news that Maitreya, the great Lord of Love, has returned in physical form. He brings with him members of the hierarchy of this planet, Lords of Wisdom, who serve us, their younger brothers and sisters. They are committed to helping every wayfarer as we each struggle towards mastery over ourselves and the energy forces of this planet. We are never alone, but at this moment of great trial and turmoil, our elder brothers have descended from their mountain retreats to live among us. They inspire and support us and are the driving force behind the many discoveries and achievements humanity has made. The knowledge that they are here with us is gradually emerging into the public domain, and volunteers like us share this knowledge with the intention to inform rather than convince. We have been convinced by the truth of this story by a man called Benjamin Creme, by our own response to the information he brought, and through personal experience. We have had the privilege of knowing about the many signs of Maitreya's presence among us, evidence that if you studied, would no doubt convince you too. Benjamin Creme spent the last 40 years of his life tirelessly sharing this information to anyone who was prepared to listen. His work continues with us, a global group of volunteers who have all felt the call to share the story. And although we are not an organisation as such, our information can be found through the Share International website and accessed through a magazine of the same name. We are nearly at the end of 2020, and what a year this has been. There are probably very few people in the world today who have not felt the winds of change flowing through their nations, communities and personal lives. Globally, humanity is more connected, and that connection makes the polarisation we are all experiencing, either nationally or within our communities and families, more potent and heartfelt. Our sense of security has been shattered, and it feels like we're experiencing a collective mental health breakdown. We need Maitreya and the Masters to steady the ship as we navigate these turbulent waters, and this is exactly why they are here. As the outworn and unusable forms and structures break down, confusion and chaos reign. But do not despair. Maitreya assures us that all will be well. We will make the choices that will lead us into calmer waters. Our eyes and ears are being opened to what is needed. Action is being taken. Corruption and selfishness is being called out. New solutions are being discussed and debated. People are uniting to fight injustice and demanding new ways of governance. The cause for protecting the earth and equitably managing her resources has become a clarion call, especially among the young who see their home being trashed and are well aware that as future stewards of our planet, they will have to clean up the mess we are making. The times they are a-changing, and with change comes the potential for new beginnings. A new year is always a time for hope and celebration, so as we enter 2021, may we all go forward acting as agents of change for the benefit of all. And this is going to be what we're going to be talking about in some of our programme today, and we've got with us Nigel and Peter. So welcome, Nigel.
Thank you, Shafir. Yes, Agents of Change. I'm going to cover a story which is called Reinvigorating the United Nations. Mm-hmm. What now for the United Nations? Agents of Change. There are possibilities. We've talked about this subject fleetingly on previous programs, and I look forward to the conversation that this might generate.
Good.
Right.
And Peter, what have you got for us?
Yes, well, I'm going to be talking about some of the signs of Maitreya's existence, if you like, and I'm quite enthusiastic about. I see one of the UFOs quite frequently, and they are signs of his presence.
Yes.
And so we'll be looking, at that.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, Nigel, over to you.
Thank you. Right. Well, I've got a story here which is written published by Graham Peebles, and he's a familiar writer to us here at Share International because a lot of his stories have been featured in the Share International magazine over the last few years. And back in June this year, he published this story. It's called Reinvigorating the United Nations. And of course, the United Nations was established in 1945 at the end of World War II. It has a range of 15 specialised agencies, and Peebles says it is the obvious body to take on an expanded essential role, not by adopting powers of governance over member states, but by being invested with a new status based on the recognition that certain issues demand unified strategic action. So let's have a quick look at those issues such as pandemics, epidemics, environmental emergencies, war and terrorism, poverty and food insecurity, overpopulation and the consequent displacement of persons. And these crises cannot be limited by borders or controlled by nation states. No government or corporate power can manage them. They are interconnected global issues and they require a coordinated global response. Mm-hmm. Familiar words, aren't they?
Yes.
Benjamin Creme has been writing this back in the 1980s, 86, Maitreya's Mission, Volume 1. He's talking about this very subject, isn't he?
Yes, and he's also said, hasn't he, that the United Nations will be the body that will sort of see the redistribution of food and all the things that are needed to be done, and that they need to be given more powers.
Well, the UN represents a high point in human achievement, and the world is a richer place for its existence, isn't it?
Yes, that's right.
It is.
So, the UN, if it's revitalised, can it be an effective agent of change? At the forefront of the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020, the World Health Organization was working to bring about the attainment by all people of the highest possible level of health, physical, mental and social well-being. So that's their goal, that's their mission statement, that's their purpose, isn't it? Mm-hmm. But they've been somewhat stymied by some of the government leaders, haven't they? Oh,
that's right. There's all sorts of forces that want to take over and use their their financial power to make it veer off course or whatever.
Well, Peebles writes that the worldwide response to the virus should have been coordinated by the World Health Organization. There would have been consistent methodologies followed, clear messages with detailed scientific information. But what happened instead, nations, as you just said, Peter, nations turned within and formulated their own approach. And of course, as we know, our governments are fixated on growth. They're fixated on commercialisation.
That's right. Yeah.
So that has tarnished some of their decision-making. A renewed United Nations. The key to overcoming the global issues outlined here and bringing about socio-economic change would be the introduction of sharing, together with a reinvigorated, expanded United Nations. Sharing, as a principle of living, needs to be planted in all areas of life, a unifying seed of goodness, infusing all systems and modes of living.
And I think this is happening at a grassroots level, isn't it? It's, I think that it's the ordinary people that are showing the way and are doing it naturally because that's what we do, when we see in our communities.
But on a global level, we need somebody to pick it up and coordinate it.
Yes, it's the cooperation that we really need, which is so essential, isn't it?
And I think that's what this writer is saying, that the UN could be poised to be that agent of change.
That's right.
And lead the way to coordinate
Yes, and Maitreya says, we get rid of competition. We need cooperation right throughout the world, don't we?
We do.
And I won't start you on the subject of the possible dissolution of the Security Council.
No.
Peter, which of course is currently the most powerful arm of the UN, but unfortunately 5 nations are vetoing whatever suits their political agenda or will.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
So the new agency would design systems of sharing and oversee the equitable distribution, firstly of food and water, and then through a massive volunteer program of other resources that are held collectively, including knowledge, skills, creativity, and of course those skills are in every nation. Mm-hmm. Sharing is an extraordinarily potent quality, both in action and an attitude of mind. It is an expression of trust and an acknowledgement of our oneness. It encourages cooperation and cultivates trust. And when there is trust, much can be achieved between individuals and groups and nations. Mm. It is a vibrant force for good, and its time has come. I like that line. Yes. Its time has come to share. Although the current systems work against such commonsensical ways, through the application of creative thinking and goodwill, coordinated by a revitalised, unifying United Nations, much can be achieved. And perhaps then the General Assembly could become the true voice of the United Nations. Mm. And look, just before I finish, as I hinted earlier, Benjamin Creme was publishing similar words back in the 1980s. And this is from Volume 2, Maitreya's Mission by Benjamin Creme. And he says here, the United Nations is becoming more and more independent and more what eventually it will be. The central debating, law-giving forum for the nations of the world. And he says over the last year or two, this is becoming more and more marked and evident, and beginning to take cognizance of its opportunities and its power now to influence events. So it's not a new idea, but it's nice to see others reinforcing the concept that was being talked about back in the 80s.
Yes,
the potential for the UN.
Yes, that's right. And they could be a real agent for change, couldn't they?
Oh, that's right. And it is Maitreya's priority. Sharing is number one word, isn't it?
If this took place very quickly, starvation on this planet would be removed, because we know there is enough food being produced on the planet. Yes. There's too much food rotting in warehouses, isn't there?
That's right.
That's right. And what was heartening for me was to hear Jacinda Ardern saying, she was asked, I can't remember what the question was, but she said some things we are going to have to approach at a global level for it to work, because I think the climate crisis is definitely that, isn't it? So many people are saying, oh, well, if China and America don't sort their pollution problems out, what's the point of us doing it? So it needs everybody on board with it to do it all together so that it can actually work.
And you saw the seeds of that in the climate summit in Paris.
Yes.
A few years ago. There was really the seeds of that, and it generated so much hope.
Yes, it did.
Right.
And that's what we all need at the moment. We need hope. We need to know that those elder brothers working quietly behind the scenes are working on our behalf.
Yes.
And we are there, and there is the evidence that this attitude of mind, the mind belt, is
being influenced and
coming to fruition, isn't it? This is the Emergence News on Plains FM. For more information, go to shareinternational.org.
Okay, Peter, so you're going to talk to us about some signs of Mitreya.
Yes, indeed. I must say that in our meditation group, we feel this increase of energy. Sometimes I feel the changes in our, the energy coming in moves from the Ajna center and between our eyebrows up to our crown chakra. And there's quite a few of us have felt that. And, to me, it's a sign of either Benjamin Creme or Maitreya actually coming through and adding the love aspect to our work and that sort of thing. And, the masters do this all the time. I mean, they send these energies that we just hold our focus on the Ajna Centre, and they direct where they're going. We don't have any input in that at all. And all we have to do is hold the concentration, which is easier said than done. But at the same time, the Masters direct it to wherever it needs to go.
And of course, the important point there too is that the energies are potent, they're powerful, and they need to be stepped down.
That's right, yes.
To the level of humanity, because where they are, when the cosmic energy is coming down, it's like it needs to go through a substation, doesn't it?
That's right. That's exactly right, Nigel. It's they step down, and as I say, we don't have any input as to where it goes, but it's certainly...
We're just a vehicle for the energy to flow through it.
It's a substation.
And then it goes down onto the mental plane. So it's affecting the mind belt, isn't it?
That's right,
and
it is.
affecting people's consciousness rather than actually,
Yes, it's certainly above the emotional level, and that's really good.
Can I just say, because it really helped me a few years ago understand science a bit better, just what you've just explained. Why sometimes in history, if you look back in history, why sometimes a discovery is made in Europe and also in South America and in Asia and in Australia in more or less the same time.
That's right, yeah.
Isn't it fascinating? Because there's that concept of the mind belt.
That's right, yes.
Join the dots for me on that one.
And it's also, just on a more mundane level, the sort of influence of names of babies. There sort of becomes this sort of, I remember calling one of my daughters Fionn and hadn't heard anybody else call it. And suddenly there were all these Fionns around, of that sort of era. So,
and so new names become quite fashionable.
Yes, that's
and
right.
popular.
Yes, that's right.
That sounds great, yeah. And of course, we notice we know about Maitreya's special energy that he brings through on the major festivals of April, May and June. So these festivals are obviously going to become more important, and we will know more about them in the future. And at the time of the full moon, the increase of energy, spiritual energy impacting on our planet, is increased dramatically.
And of course, the one that's going to become the major festival is the Essex Festival, which is the full moon of May.
Yeah, that's right.
May, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's when the Buddha descends from Shambhala, which is where he resides, and gives this increase of light into the world.
Yes. And is that the festival that the Christ gives out the Buddha's last speech? On the Essex Festival, I think it is, yes. So, yes, it is important. Some people actually go to this, to the Essex Valley and take part in this festival because it is actually on the physical plane.
Yes.
And also people can join in on the higher levels as well, on the spiritual plane, and tune into this festival. Anyway, what I wanted to talk about was some of the signs of Maitreya's presence, and we've talked before about the Lakota water. He has created 770 wells around the world when he's talked to various groups, and these are all yet to be discovered, aren't they? With the exception of about 3 or 4.
Yes.
And these are all healing waters. And there's possibly one in Wellington, because we know that he did give a talk there to a group in Wellington. So the future is sort of very interesting in that sense, of these things that will be discovered.
Yes,
and
because his role is the water carrier, as the age of Aquarius.
The Aquarian sign.
Yeah.
And I think a couple of the others, you've mentioned Tecloti in Mexico.
Yes.
And there's also one in Fiji, which was quite notable in the news a few years ago.
Right.
For healing eyes.
Yes.
That's right.
A number of the Pacific Islanders.
Yes, okay. The UFO activity, of course, is increasing each year, and I'm particularly see this happening because I noticed one in the southwest of our skies on a clear night. Not that we've had a lot of clear nights lately, I might add, but I do see this particular one, and it changes colours and it sort of jumps around a bit. And this is described all around the world. These films have been taken of it. Unfortunately, I don't have a camera that's good enough to do that. But, there's some amazing shots, actually, and some still photographs that appear in our Share International. And there have been quite a few over the years, haven't there?
If you go onto YouTube...
They're on YouTube.
Yes, there's several examples.
And what a sign about that, I think, about from Benjamin Creme was that he announced that. He announced that these were going to be appearing in the sky with the advent of Mitreya going on television for his first interview in America.
Yes.
And a week later, the first one appeared.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because, when Jesus appeared on earth, there was a star in the sky, which we were told through the esoteric wisdom that was also a UFO. And it was there heralding the arrival of this new teacher, the world teacher for the age.
Yes.
And so, but with the advent of social media and television, and we see so many of them now, and they're being reported all the time. So amazing phenomena.
Yes, they are. In fact, I love to see it, and I sort of mentally join in and say hi.
Well, they are our friends.
Yes, indeed. They're space brothers, as Benjamin Creme calls them. And actually, I wanted to read you a message actually from Maitreya, and this was taken in December back in 1978. So that's 42 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So he says, "My dear friends, I am happy to be with you once more and to add my glad tidings to this joyous festival. My friends, I am with you here tonight in a certain fashion, but soon you shall become aware that I, Maitreya himself, your eldest brother, am among you. When you see me, you shall know that the turning point has reached, and my forces are gathering in strength, and that victory is assured. My plan is to release into the world my simple teachings of truth, that men are one, brothers all, that God loves all men equally, that nature provides the sustenance for everyone to share, that coming as I do from mankind's past, I know the answers to man's dilemma. I shall show that the simple ways of change, of correctly relating one to another, of correctly manifesting the will of God. My plan is to show you this and release you from your limitations. The way ahead is not easy, my friends, but with your help all shall be made good for mankind. Take heart, my dear friends, from these words, and be assured of my help and strength, and his blessing that follows. May the divine light and love and power of the one most holy God be now manifest within your hearts and minds. May this manifestation lead you to sense the need of your brother, and sensing that, to render service to him." So he sees that that's the way to serve God, is through serving your brother.
It is, yes, indeed.
Yes. And that's repeated time and again.
Yes.
Isn't it?
So our next programme will be in the year 2021, and we look forward to being back with you and sharing some of the emerging news that is happening. One little thing that's happened is picking up on the signs that Peter was talking about, was that somebody wrote in the Share International that they had a dream from Sai Baba, who actually told him that that the Maitreya was in the world and that he was back with us, and that everything that Benjamin Creme had said was true. So we were getting more of these messages from different people. We had the rabbis talking about Maitreya being in the world. So we're looking forward to next year and hoping that we can bring you more of these stories and much more positive news. So from the Emergence News team, we wish you all a peaceful and positive new year. I'm sure we'll all be facing many challenges, but keep the faith, trust in your own ability to rise to any challenge and keep connected. Remember, we are one human family, and together we can become the agents of change that create a world of love, harmony and beauty. May you all be well and happy.
Goodbye.
Thank you.
All this information can be found on the Share International website, www.share-international.org. Scorpio Books in Christchurch carries the magazine and some books. And also don't forget the podcasts, which are available on the Plains FM website.
We welcome your comments, questions and feedback. Please contact us at emergencenews@gmail.com.
The opportunity to join our transmission is available Monday and Wednesday evenings and Thursday mornings, which gives us the possibility to do a service meditation in conjunction with Masters.